Hi and welcome to this short video. As you can see in the background, we are making a very simple Sidenav that is either expandable or collapsible, and we will do this with Angular material. And first in this video we'll have a short look at the outcome of this video, and then we will go through all the steps in the development process. And this repository is also available on GitHub, so you can just find the link in the description and check it out. So let's have a short look at the outcome of the project. So you can see here we are having like our Sidenav and the Sidenav content on the right, and we can expand it or we can collapse it. We can, if we click on it, then you see here we are loading different components, and here we are having a met toolbar. So in this here in the code, we are having here our app routing module. Then we are lazy loading the dashboard module. The dashboard module is having a wrapper component. This is basically this thing here where we have our content or our Sidenav and our content on the right. And then we are loading the children dashboard info user depending on the route here, so into this here. And then you can see it here. This is our wrapper component, and then we have all our dashboard info and user components that are being rendered into the router outlet from our wrapper component, which is displayed here. So as you have just seen, we are just making a very simple Angular material Sidenav navigation that is expandable or collapsible. And this means it's either displaying like just the icons or the icons with the text. And on the right side, it's displaying like the content, for example, from the dashboard and so on, whatever you choose to click on the left side in the navigation. So for this to work, we just need to set up Angular. So if you don't have Angular installed on your computer, just do it. And then you can use the nvnew command to generate a new Angular project. So I can just say Angular or nvnew to use the Angular CLI and say, let's call it expandable Sidenav. And this will make a new folder and install everything or set up everything correctly for Angular. You can see it here, and will now install all the packages. So I'm now having here my expandable Sidenav folder, and there's everything is being generated now from the Angular CLI. So I can open it with Visual Studio Code, and I'm already having here made the font size bigger so it's easier for you to follow me. And here we can just open another terminal where we can do all the stuff when the installation of all the npm packages is finished. So we can, while this, just go a little bit through the stuff that we are doing now. So we want to use Angular material. Angular material is just here designed components for Angular that are specific or that integrate very good with Angular. So we just want to use them. So we have like, we can save some time, and we can go to the components and see what we want or what is all available. And what we want to do here is we want to use the Angular Sidenav or Angular material site navigation. So we can have collapsible site content with primary content. So like you can see it here. This here is our Sidenav, and this here is our primary content, for example. So here you can see it here, and there's the main content, and there is like the Angular. Let's see it here. Where is it? The Sidenav container, and this is basically used if you're having like a full-size Angular application. And there's also the net-draw container, or how it is called. I think draw. Yeah, draw container and draw content, which would be just if you want to display something here, like a little, not on the home page. For example, this here would be the Sidenav, and this here on the right could be like the draw. So let's see if everything is finished. So you see now we have installed everything here. So now we can start working here. And first we want to add Angular material. So for this, we can just use Angular or CLI, all the schematics to set up our project with Angular material. And so we just execute this command, and then everything should be done automatically. And so we want to use our Sidenav component. So let's have a quick look when this is finished. And so basically at the moment we can also start making some changes here. So you can see here in our app component HTML, there's some, let's say basic stuff that we don't need. So we can delete it completely. And let's say we have here just our router outlet. And then we could go and make a new Angular module. So we could say with Angular CLI and Angular, so ng generate, and then we say m for module, and then we say, for example, we want to generate a dashboard module, or yes, and so this will now generate for us our dashboard module. Yeah, so now you can see we are having here just our dashboard module. It doesn't have any routes or anything else. So we are on our base from Angular, and we can just say from here we want to route everything to our dashboard module. So let's say our path is like empty, and then we want to make lazy loading and load our new dashboard module. So we can just say we want to import from our module, so from the dashboard, from our module here. And then from this, we just want to use our module.dashboard module. And then we can start working into or inside our dashboard module. So let's go and cd into it. So we can cd into source, app, dashboard. And let's see if Angular material is completely installed. So let's use the basic styles everything and go back to our terminal here. And now we can generate some stuff. So first, for example, we could make a routing module. So let's say dashboard minus routing.module.ts. And yeah, we can just copy paste a bit so we are a little bit faster. Rename it correctly, dashboard routing module. And here, of course, we don't want to do this. And here we are not for root, but for feature. Or for child. And this is not called app routing module, but dashboard routing module. And then we are going to import this into our dashboard module here. And then we can lazy load everything. So now we are ready to start. Let's see. Now we have also Angular material installed. And then we can start generating some components. So let's say at first we want to have like our page component that is like a wrapper, or we can also call it wrapper, where we have our navigation and then the content on the right. And we can also say we want to make this into a components folder. And then we just call it wrapper. And then this should generate a new folder here in our dashboard module that is being called components. And there we will have our wrapper component. And we will also make, like, let's say, dashboard, a new component, then like an info component and like a user component. So just that we see if we hit different routes, that the content here on the right, and this here changes. So let's say info and user. And you can see when we are using the Angular CLI, it's already being directly imported into the right module. So now all these components here are imported to our dashboard module, and we can just work with them here. So we can also hit here and reserve. This is the command to start Angular, just to see that everything is running correctly. And then we can start implementing the stuff. So what we want to have is we want to have like our wrapper with the Sidenav on the left and the content on the right. So what we need to do is we need to add some routes. So let's say our path here. And then we are having our component, which is our wrapper component. And then just see if we can see this before we go on. So we have to wait here. And we can also make here a little bit of redirection. So let's say when or whatever our path is, we just want to redirect to this, and the path match should be full. Now you see it has compiled everything, and now it's generating the browser bundles. And yeah, let's see, everything should be here. So we can go to localhost 4200, and then we see here wrapper works. And so this works because here on the top of our project we have our app component HTML where we have our router outlet. This means that if we hit the route, then we are lazy loading the dashboard module into our router outlet. And so this is displaying the content from our wrapper component from our dashboard module. So we can go on with this here. And now what we want to do is we want to display here on the left the Sidenav, and here our content from the components. So what we can do is our dashboard routing module, this here is becoming or is getting some children. So this means like before, where we rendered everything that was sitting here, the base route here. So everything that was displaying the dashboard module inside our router outlet. Then we will have here in our wrapper component some stuff here, and we will also display our router outlet, so whatever route we are hitting. So then we can say our first children would be the dashboard route, and here the component to be displayed is our dashboard component. And then this route here would be localhost 4200 and then /dashboard, since this is here always empty. So this should be our route. So let's just go here. So you see here we are just having the wrapper, and as soon as we hit the dashboard route, you see we have wrapper works and dashboard works. So this works as expected, and we can now close this, and now we can add like the routes for all our other three components. So let's say we have another path info. This is displaying the content from the info component, and we will have another path for user, and this is the component user component. So this is like all the setup stuff that we need here, and if we want to, we can, like we did on the first or on the higher router module, we can also add some redirecting to here. So whatever we hit here, we redirect to, for example, let's say to the dashboard route, and we can say path match full. So let's see if everything is working. So you see dashboard, this, and when we hit something else, we are redirected to dashboard. Or if we go to info, then we have the info component rendered here into our router outlet. So now we can go on. And for this to work, now we have here our router or our wrapper component. And now we want to display here our Sidenav on the left. So for this, we can use the Sidenav container. And yeah, at the moment it doesn't know it, so we have to add all the stuff to our module. And then we can just say Angular material modules. And then we need our net toolbar module. Then we have to see where we can import them. 1 second. So we need the net Sidenav module. Net Sidenav module. Then probably the net icon module. Okay, let's Google it. Net icon module. I don't know why sometimes my Angular tutorial is not directly getting all the imports. So we will need the icon module because we will use some icons later. We will use probably a net list module. Let's see, net list module. And at last we will need for, I think, the net toolbar module that we can use. Net toolbar module. Yeah, toolbar is basically something on the top of your page, so we can use this also to make it a little bit nicer looking. And I think this should be all we need. If not, we can import it later. So now this should be familiar. So now it's familiar, and we can add all our stuff. So we have here our Sidenav container, and then on the left here, we want to have our Sidenav. So we add here our material Sidenav, and on the right or next to it, we are like having just a div where we display our content. And inside this div, we want to render then the path or the route wherever we are. So the children components from our routing module here. So in this here, these are being rendered into our router outlet from the wrapper here. So you can see if we go to our route now, we're just having the info because here we are not displaying anything, but we are now having here our material Sidenav. And we can just say, here we want to display a single net list. And then this list is having here some entries. So let's say net list item. Let's just make it for testing purposes. If we can see something here. And I think we also have to add something to our material Sidenav. So we want, for example, give it an ID. Let's say Sidenav. We can say, I think, mode. And we say on the side. And we want to have it opened set to true, so it's always there. And then you see here, something is here. And now we have to make it a little bit better looking. So at first, for our Sidenav container, we have to say how large it should be. And so, for example, we can say this should have a height of 100%. So we can make it very simple and just add this here and say the height is 100%. And now we see we are having 100% in height, and here you see also the list. And now you see here we have our Sidenav container. This is complete page, and on the left we have our Sidenav, and on the right our content. So we can now work on here. And now we want first to add all the correct items. So our first netlist item should always have like material icon, and this could also have the netlist icon. And we can give it also some classes to make it look better, and we can use this here later to expand our Sidenav or to make it smaller, so just to display the icons. And with the material icon, so you can just, for example, go to Angular material icons and just search for the icons that you need. Let's wait a bit. So here you have all the icons. For example, we can use like a chevron. And so you can just use the name here. And we can say chevron right, and then this icon should be displayed. Let's go to our page here, and now you see we have here the icon. I can hit it. But at the moment nothing is happening. And so we just want to use this later for expanding our Sidenav or to close it. And now let's make the other items. So let's make another netlist item, and this should be our dashboard. So let's say net icon. Let's copy it a bit so we're faster. And this is not the icon, but the chevron, but for example, we can use the home icon for this. And then in a span, we can display the name. So for example, dashboard. And now let's make it faster. So the home could be, for example, let's see. We can use the home icon, but we already used it for the dashboard. Let's say let's use this here. So you can just, for example, click on it, and then you will see the name here. So you can just display it here. Let's say home. And then we can use this here, the name info, and this here should have the name user. And then for this, I think probably there's an icon for a user. Let's see. No, there's no icon for a user, but let's see. Then let's just take this icon here, supervisor account. And so now you can see we have here all the stuff. And now if we expand it, for example, with here, then it should be displayed. If we make it smaller, then it should be being wrapped so that we can just see the icons. So how can we do this? We can just use basic Angular stuff, so Angular directives and so on, like ngIf. And we can do this by giving our component like a Boolean value if at the moment something is expanded or not. So we can say is expanded, which is a type boolean, and we set it initially to false. And then we can bind something here in our HTML to it. So we can say, for example, that our chevron icon here, with which we want to expand or collapse our site navigation, we can just add the click event to it, and then we want to do something. And so we want to set our is expanded always to the opposite. So if it is true, and we click it, then it's set to false. If it is false, then it's being set, if we click it, to true. So always the opposite. And here, so now we can always in our span just use the ngIf and say we just want to display this dashboard here if at the moment we are expanded, and this should be done for everything. So we say here also if is expanded is set to true, then display the name info. If not, then don't display it. So we just use it here also, and then we can see if this is working. So you see, since we initialized it here with false, at the moment the text is not displayed. If we hit this icon, then it's being set to true. Now we can make it here. This is basically the stuff that works. Now we can make it a little bit fancier. So we can, for example, say for this icon here, we can bind it to ng class, and we can give it a class. Let's say rotated when is expanded is true. And then we can give this here also a class. Let's say chevron button and Sidenav button. And then we have to go to our CSS. Now we're in our Sidenav container, our met Sidenav. And then we have our met nav list. So then we are here in our met nav list. And then we have here our met icon. So this is having chevron button and Sidenav button. So we can say chevron button and Sidenav button. And then we can just add the CSS that we need. So for example, we can say basically here the chevron button should be like have a transition of 300 milliseconds, ease in and out. And then we want to transform it, and let's say rotate 0 degrees. And let's say we want to also display it not here on the left but on the right to make it better looking. So we make it to right and float right, and we position it as absolute. And then see, you see now it's here on always on the right, and but now it should also rotate. So now it should be looking not to the right side but to the left. So let's think about it. So we can say if we hit chevron button and its rotated class is assigned, so with the ng class here, when is expanded, then we just make another transform and rotate around 180 degrees, and then this should be looking to the left side. So now you see it's rotating, always if the class is applied from Angular material or from Angular. So I think this should be all CSS, and now we can, for example, let's see. Yeah, why not? So we could, for example, add here in our div, we say this here is our content class. And then we have here our toolbar. So this is just our material toolbar. And in our toolbar, yeah, what do we have to apply? I think nothing. And we can, for example, say here h4 and say hello everyone. And let's see if everything is working correctly. So now you can see we are having here on the left our Sidenav. So if we hit the button here, then it's being expanded. If we hit again, it's collapsed. Now you see this here is actually not correct, because then if I expand this, this should be here and this should not overlap. So and to fix this, so we can just add here to the met Sidenav container the auto size, and then this should always check for the size. So you can see here now content is here, and if I hit dashboard, then I'm having here at the moment if I'm in info, then for example if I go to dashboard, I'm having the dashboard. So we could now say, for example, so when we have imported our router, we can, for example, just say for our met list item, I think, let's try router link, and let's say we want then to go to this class here. This is empty, we don't need this stuff. And then with our router link, we want to go to the dashboard route. Let's see if this is working. On the info route, and we hit dashboard, then we are going to the dashboard route, and so we can make this also here for router link, and then go to the info route, and here we can also say router link, and then we want to go to the user route. And now you see every time we have a button, then we are having here in our router outlet displayed the component that we are in. And expand it. This still works here, and we have here our toolbar. So now we can commit everything and then just save it to GitHub. So we can say git add A, commit, and let's say added dashboard module with a wrapper for displaying the Sidenav and the Sidenav content. Children are displayed within the router outlet.